Hello guys, welcome to my another video. So today I'm going to discuss another question, and this one is hard. Yeah, I know this one is going to be a little bit harder, I guess. So let's not talk too much and get to the main topic. So what is our question today? Robinal Achi. Sorry if I'm wrong, if I can't read properly. Sorry about that. Robinal Achi is a pre-colonial Maya dance drama performed annually in Robinal, a town in the Guatemalan highlands, based on events that occurred when Robinal was a city-state ruled by a king, Dash, had once been an ally of the king, but was later captured while leading an invading force against him. Okay, we get that, we get all this. And the question is always the same, which choice? And if we look at the choice, we find this one. So looking at the choice, we get that in this dash, you can't use just one word, there is going to be a whole sentence. Or let's say not a whole sentence, but a dependent clause, maybe. Yeah, something like that. So let's start. So for to answer this type of question, how do we find? Let's say let's read this question again now using these words. Starting from here, we always go to the main we always go to the main line. Okay, let's not waste too much. Based on events that occurred when Robinal was a city-state ruled by a king, Robinal Achi tells the story of Kichiachi, a military leader who had once been an ally of the king but was later captured while leading an invading force against him. Okay, yeah, it makes sense. It makes a lot more sense. Let's see about number B. Kichiachi, the military, based on events that occurred when Robinal was a state ruled by a king, Kichiachi, the military leader in the story of Robinal Achi, had once been an ally of the king, but was later captured while leading an invading force against him. Okay, yeah, it makes sense. It does make sense. It also makes sense. So let's see the number three. Based on events that occurred when Robinal was a city-state ruled by a king, the military leader whose history is told in Robinal Achi, Kichiachi, had once been an ally of the king but was later captured while leading an invading force against him. Okay, this line also makes sense, but thing is like, isn't this line like a little bit complicated? Like the military leader whose story is told in Robin Alachi, like isn't it like a little bit complicated? It makes sense, but it is a little bit complicated. So let's go to number D. Based on events that occurred when Robin was a city-state ruled by a king, there was a military leader Kichiachi who in Robin Alachi had once been an ally of the king, but was later captured. There was a military leader Kichiachi who in Robin Alachi had once been an ally of the king, but was later captured while leading invading force against him. Okay, it makes little bit sense, but okay, it makes sense, at least it makes sense. So we can see like this question is makes sense with every options, but like the options, they are like a little bit, some of them a little bit complicated, some of them are like dear clear. So that's how we are going to answer this question. But before that, we are going to have one another note for the day, and I hope you actually write this note, because this one is going to be helpful in this question, which is, yeah, this one. When a sentence starts with a verb, find the subject of the sentence. Okay, so what do we see in this sentence? Based on the events. Is based, is this word based a verb? Yes, it is a verb. Based on the docker, blah 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 blah, and there is a comma, which means it is an independent clause. If there is a dependent clause and it starts with a verb, what do we have to do? Find the subject. We have to find the subject here. Now, for this question, what is the subject? Based on events that occurred. I told you the same thing in the last video, that after this part, after this that part, everything is useless to us. Why? Because that doesn't count actually. That's why. After this that part, everything is useless. If you ask me why, go to the last video because I have explained it a lot more than what I did here. So this that occurred part is useless, so we are cutting that. So based on events, so how to find the verb? Which events are they talking about here? Obviously, this Robin Alachi here. And if you look at the sentence choices, you will find yes, they are talking about all Robin Alachi. This there everything. There is a same similar word Robin Alachi, Robin Alaki, Aki, Dachi, I don't know, Robin Alachi, Kichiachi or Robin Alachi, still Robin Alachi. So there is this Robin Alachi or Kichiachi guy. So that means it is Robin Alachi. The subject is going to be Robin Alachi. Okay? Yes. Why not Kichiachi? Because if you look at the first sentence, there is never a word called Kichiachi. That's why we are not going for Kichi. I'm talking about this one. So this is that. So we already found the bar subject. And what's the subject? That's Robin Aki or Achi. And when we are going to do this type of sentence, like there is a the sentence starts with a verb and there is a dependent clause. It is a dependent clause. What is going to be the next word? It is going to be the subject here. So what is going to the subject? So what is going to the next word after this comma? It is going to be Robin Alachi. And based on this thing, every other options are wrong. Easy. Did you get what I said? Just identify the subject. That's it. Every other word is wrong. And I told you how is it going to be wrong? Kichiachi, that's not the subject. The military leader is not the subject either. Same here, not the subject either. So these three options are wrong. Okay, let's say C and D are wrong. We are still not sure about Kichiachi. What are we going to do about Kichiachi, the military leader in the story of Robin Alachi? Yeah, there's another way. If you find like, okay, I get why C and D is wrong because there's no subject in C and D because they don't have any subjects in C and D. That's why this C and D wrong. What about B? Why is it wrong? He was a better explanation. Okay, let's think. Based on events that occurred when Robinal was a city ruled by a king, Kichiachi, the military leader in the history of Robinalachi, had once been an ally. It makes a lot of sense, right? Yes, it does. But who is Kichiachi, the military leader in the history of Robinalachi? How we are going to prove this wrong? Let's think about a little bit. Do we all know there is a rule in grammar that when you are describing someone's profession, you never use comma? Do you remember that rule? I'm writing like when you are going to discuss, like let's say A, Mr. A is a doctor. So if you are going to add this sentence with another verb, Mr. A, let me write it so that you will get that easily. Here, just a second. Here. Let's say Mr. A doctor in Mr. X. Let's say Mr. X. Mr. X, a doctor in where? Let's say New York. A doctor in New York came to Florida. So for this sentence, we didn't use any comma, did we? No. So if we were to use the comma, where would that be? Like in within a doctor, because we're going to describe his occupation, right? Mr. X came to Florida. This way it makes a lot more sense, but it is wrong. Why? Because we have that rule when we are going to discuss the occupation or the profession of a person, we never write a comma, we never use commas because this is a necessary part of the sentence. So what is going to be here? There's going to be no commas. Mr. X, a doctor in New York, came to Florida. That's it. There's never going to be a comma. That's the same thing here, Kichiachi. So what do we see here about Kichiachi? We see that there is going to be a description of his occupation, that he was a military leader. But what do we know? We can use a comma when we are going to discuss the occupation. That's why this sentence is grammatically wrong, okay? Because they say like Kichiachi, comma, the military leader in the story of Robin Achi, comma, had once been an ally of the king. It would have made a lot more sense, but the thing is, there is a comma. That's why it's grammatically wrong. And yes, that's why we have only one option left, number A. Easy. I hope you get that what I said, and that's it. So that's all our in this video. I guess you got to understand. And if you didn't, yes, there is an college board answer ready for you. Go answer this question. Go read these choices. I hope you get that. And see you in the next video. Bye.